What's up, everyone? And this is Next Level Thinking. What's up, everyone? I'm Chris Holmes, of course, with another episode of Next Level Thinking. And today we have a special guest by the name of
Ashley Craig.
So I'm going to let you set the groundwork, just a little bit of the floor. So tell the crowd a little bit more about yourself.
Sure. So I live up here. Actually, I live in Montgomery, and I work down the Galleria.
Okay, the Galleria?
Yes. Yeah, it's a long drive, but I like it. Good shopping.
Plenty of shopping. I mean, what's your favorite store?
Oh, so the Nordstrom rack right down the corner. It's really nice going there. I enjoy it. So I work at the Fitzpatrick Group, and it's a financial firm here in the Galleria area. So,
okay, nice.
Yeah.
So I guess going from that, you have a lot more family in a downtown area. Yes.
So actually, a lot of our family lives up in the Montgomery area, but I'm a first-generation American, so I have family all over the world, which is kind of exciting. But most of everybody is up in Montgomery.
What's the furthest?
Australia.
Australia.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah. My mom's Australian, so.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Well, give us an interesting fact. We probably don't know.
Sure. Okay. About Australia or
yes.
About me? About Australia. Ooh, I don't even know. There's so many kangaroos there.
Note to self: when you go to Australia, you'll see plenty of kangaroos.
Yeah, it's like seeing deer. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. So maybe not the Houston area, but up in Montgomery.
So with that, what is your favorite pastime?
So we usually every couple of years we'll fly back to Australia or we'll go to England. My dad's English. So just spending time with the family is nice because not too many of us are over here in the States, in Texas specifically.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, it's always good to have good family time, nice little getaway for the break. Because we always want to do the work, the grind, the production, but at the same time you got to enjoy yourself in life.
Sure, absolutely.
With that said, I guess favorite sport? Yeah, are you a sports girl at all?
I try to follow sports. I know just enough to get by. I was a swimmer and I do Olympic lifting, so those are my two kind of.
So we have an athlete. Okay. I didn't know that at first. Got a little.
Yeah. I was a swimmer in high school, and then after high school, stopped swimming for a little bit. Got more into Olympic lifting. Worked at a gym in the Katy area. Managed Gold's Gym for a while, the personal training department, and I just really enjoyed it. And then a couple years ago, I did an Oilman, which is a half Ironman. That was fun. So probably won't do it again. That was my bucket list.
It's I'm going to try this. Let's do this. After you're done, you're
8 hours of just craziness. Yeah,
I wasn't ready.
Yeah, no. I trained for a couple weeks, went and did it, and I am never again.
Yeah,
so.
You were a couple weeks, I should have a couple months.
Yeah, pretty much.
So with that, I guess name the top 3 people that keep you inspired in life.
Inspired. Okay. So there's quite a few people. One of them is actually in this office. His name is Tarek. He's the owner of our firm. And he came from a couple different areas. He grew up, his dad was in the military. So for him, I actually made a video a while back about a fear of being average or mediocre. And he really inspires me to step away from that being average mindset.
And I'm glad, I want to key on to that real quick.
Sure.
Because a lot of people, they get stuck in this comfort zone. And then they keep wondering, why is everybody being so successful?
Yes.
Why I'm just stuck in the same place? And I'll be like, have you ever asked, are you doing something different or are you doing the same thing? And you're I just do my well.
Sure, yeah. People have a habit of getting complacent, especially when they are comfortable in their position. If somebody wants to do better, get stronger, whatever it is, you have to have a level of uncomfort. You can't just sit comfy and just expect things to happen. So we're all about that in this office specifically. But Tarek is the one who really inspires most of us to do better. So.
And it's I also like to bring this analogy. It's if you go to a weight room, if you're just lifting the easy way, it's you're not really working anything.
Absolutely.
But once you put the heavy weight, you may strain. You may have to rack it back up. You're hold on, give me a break.
Absolutely, yes.
But in due time, if you're being consistent, you keep keep that mindset going. You may strain a little bit, but then after a few weeks, this actually get a little bit easier.
That's right.
You gotta take that leap. So who are the 2 other people?
So the other 2, so I kind of group my parents as one. So I am a first generation American. So when my parents came over, and with their parents as well, they started from nothing. They supplied and gave myself as much as they could. Same for my siblings. They gave us everything within means, without being spoiled and that that kind of route, or entitled, I should guess would be another word.
Put in the work.
So, yeah. So for them, they kind of, so we have something in the office that we all write. All the advisors have, and it's called the design statement.
Oh, nice.
And my design statement basically says that I want to be able to provide more for my kids than what my parents provided for me. Just saying that the succession down the line is my motivation to make sure that my kids are successful. And that comes from my parents, from building from nothing. I guess the third person would then be... probably going to go with my grandfather. So my grandfather, he's one of 14 siblings, and he's actually Russian. So
you got family traits from all over. Okay.
Yeah, so they fled from Russia actually during one of the wars when it was going on to Australia. So, and they're all engineers. This is the interesting side of my family. So half of the 14 brothers and sisters are engineers, whether it's oil and gas, mechanical, motors. We do a lot of racing in the family. So that's the fun side of the family.
You said racing, okay, what are we talking about?
Yeah, so like racing, like drag racing and high output cars, that kind of
Ever went to a NASCAR event?
Not NASCAR. No, that's kind of like another little bucket list kind of thing I have there, but never been to one. One of my clients actually went down too long ago, so he's telling me about it. So for us, we have that side of the family for engineering, and then the other side is they're all missionaries, very charitable. One of my uncles that came over from Australia to the U.S. with my grandfather, he actually started a orphanage down in Africa. So it was really interesting to see, these people came from nothing, built themselves out, and then have gone to help people that have nothing. So it's really more of a charitable foundation that we have in my family, being able to say that you succeeded and then be able to give back or whatever that thing might be.
And I'm glad you said that because especially, what's most common is people feel like, oh, I'm in this rut, there's no way to get out, but you have it, like exactly what you said.
Yeah.
People who came from nothing, just scratch, and then say, you know what, I'm not going to allow my current situation determine where my future's going to be. So they took that, and a lot of times it comes with motivation.
Sure.
It's like, I'm not going to stay here. I'm going to grind my way up to get into a higher position. And then when I get to that successful position, they're like, I remember all the past things I went through.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yes. So before we go into the next segment, is there like another interesting fact you want to throw out there?
Yeah, so I kind of have my own little beating all the odds kind of deal. So I was a swimmer, like I had stated, I was an athlete. Between my sophomore and junior year in high school, I actually got breast cancer. So I had a tumor that was removed, and it basically shot my whole swimming career. I was a club athlete in high school, state, championship meets. I mean, it was, you name it, we were going out of state to go to all these swim events and everything. So that really, it brought me down. Before this happened though, I was very shy. I was not outgoing. You could say I was a very closed off introvert. I was, swimmers, you're looking at the bottom of a pool for 6 hours a day, when you're swimming so much and you're just in your own mind. And during that time, I didn't have an outlet to do anything with. So that's what it forced me to become and have more of a paradigm shift, I guess you would call it. And it changed to more my personality that I have now. Very outgoing, very live for today, very, why aren't we doing this? Why don't we do something different? Why is everything always the same? There's different ways to do things. But from overcoming that, I went to college. I went to Sam Houston.
Okay.
Go Bearcats.
Represent.
Yeah. So, in my degree, it's totally random, but I wanted to always do science, right? So my degree ended up being anatomy, based kinesiology, but more of an anatomy and physiology basis. And then communication theory. I love to figure out how people talk, how people communicate. And I use that today, when you meet somebody new and you're trying to figure out, where should this conversation go next? I'm sure as you do all the time, like there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. But I think that paradigm shift in my thinking about how things are and how they could be, that was a big thing for me to figure out on my own, more of a self-development kind of side.
Awesome.
So.
And it's interesting how life throws things at us, even like, and I also, that is a big encouragement for anyone who else may face that, to continue to fight, never give up. Mm-hmm. But I also want to put in, when life throws in hooks and curveballs and things like that, and we're like, why is this happening to me? At the same time, that actually be the thing that actually needs to happen to bring something out of you so that you can, get to this person that you should become to inspire or help the next person. So, life is interesting when it comes to
it. It is. Yes, it is. Everything happens for a reason.
Yes. So with that, we're going to go to our next segment go a little bit more in detail of what she does in business. So stay tuned for that. What's up, everyone? We're going to go into the next segment, and this time we're going to talk a little bit about what she does actually in business. So I guess give us like a quick summary of broad, then we'll go more in details of what exactly you do.
Sure. Okay. So I create 0% tax brackets and growing money off the radar of the IRS.
Pause. 0%. Say that again.
Yeah. See, it's good, right? So I create 0% tax brackets during retirement. So we use the tax code to your advantage instead of the government's, which means you keep more of your money instead of giving it away.
I might even want to take some notes of this. So, I guess, what is the most common fear when it comes to taxes? Because I know you probably, so you kind of grit your teeth on that one. But what? I'll put it, I guess, like this. What are the top 5 fears most people have? I'm pretty sure there's a lot more.
Yes, with taxes is that they don't have the money to pay the taxes when it comes around due, especially during retirement. These people are planning to be retired. They don't want to have to pay taxes. Yes, exactly. But typical financial advising and typical financial planning as a whole will have you paying those taxes forever.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So we are a little abstract with our thinking, very right-brained. We are very abstract because it needs to be. A lot of financial advisors don't know the tax code around it.
Yeah.
So we know the tax code backwards, forwards, CPA in the office. I also have a tax attorney we use. Just lots of things, and it's all for the client. Because people don't want to have to pay lots of money in taxes.
Yeah, they don't need to be like, okay, we had a great year, and then the IRS be like, oh, here's a friendly little letter. Oh, so what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I can't deal with that.
So what is another, I guess, common thing?
So another one is that whenever I say we do tax sheltering of wealth from the IRS, is legal?
Legal.
First of all, who's asking, right? I mean, let's be honest. No, but it is totally legal. We are just using the tax code to their advantage. There's not, I wouldn't say it's a loophole because it says right there what it is. But that is another thing that people are generally concerned about. The last thing is that they haven't heard it before, and it's very different. Things that are different tend to be very scary, a little nerve-wracking for whatever reason. I meet with some people who are in their late 50s and have been doing XYZ, overfunding 401ks, whatever it is, forever. They've always been told, hey, put this dollar amount or put this percentage, and it's totally wrong.
Oh man, that's just heartbreaking. Like, it's wrong.
It really is. And I tend to be the bad person sometimes when I'm explaining this.
I was about to ask you that because usually when you introduce something that's new, a person usually has so much that's their foundation.
Yes, absolutely.
And then you get new information. You're like, no, my parents didn't raise me like this, or this is the wrong way.
Well, see, and that's where it comes from, right? So you learn what your parents know, right? So a lot of people, if a parent, because I'm a mom, right? Parents want their kids to do better, but they can only teach them what they know. No. So when you look at generations that have been doing the same exact thing,
it's a cycle.
It's a cycle, and when somebody new comes in different, and you say, "Hey, there's a better way to do this." One thing that I come across a lot of times is that, "Oh, we've had the same financial advisor wherever for 30 years." So I'm like, great. So
oh man, it's gonna be
it's Uncle Jimmy or whoever, that gets tough because I'm now going against a family member. So that
and it's like a relationship.
It really is, yeah. And we are all about education. So maybe I meet with you and your advisor, and I educate not only you but also the advisor on better things, better ways or avenues that they could help the client. So it can add value to the advisor, not just to the client, even if they don't become my client, right? If I'm still helping a person, then that means I'm doing something right. So
yeah, that's what it means. I mean, the goal is at the end of the day is give, the client or that person like, the value at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And like you said, like we have that foundation and then we so quick to resist against it.
Yes.
And at times that can also like hurt our progression, especially when you want to expand or get even further.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So with that, what exactly is, I guess, a process of while you're helping out a client?
Sure. So I guess our process start to finish. I contact somebody or vice versa. We need to figure out where somebody is and where they want to be. We do a lot of future planning, not just, hey, what rate of return can you get now? Could care less about that, because what we care about is how much money during the spending phase do you actually get to spend and get to keep rather than give away. So we have to figure out, if somebody is near retirement, that's going to be way different than somebody who's 23, 24, right?
Because when you're in your 20s, like, spend, I can do this.
Yeah.
And when you get older, you're like, hold on.
Yeah, let's be a little more conservative. Yeah, and some people, when you look at somebody's base, a lot of people 401k. If they are self-employed, they may have a SEP IRA or traditional IRA. So there's lots of things that you have to take into account. A lot of people sometimes have a financial advisor, but they haven't spoken to them in a couple years, or
The relationship is gone.
Yeah, the relationship's not there. So I'm like, well, one, there's an opportunity, so why not, right? But a lot of times it's just they don't know what their money is doing. They haven't looked at it in a long time. The other thing, so being a woman in the industry, I come across a lot of women specifically who don't know anything about their finances. My husband handles all of it. I'm like, great. If something happens to him, where's all your money?
Okay, I gotta ask this. Like, when of course, when you're doing clients like that, does one of the walls you have to face is like, what do you know? I guess I hate to say this, a stereotype of the women.
Yes.
You have to overcome that.
Yes, I will tell you a quick story. This is actually kind of funny that it happened, but I'd reached out to somebody, a male, a guy on LinkedIn, and we had set up a coffee meeting. We're going through and meet with him, and he seems just very not interested in the conversation.
No.
Yeah, he's just totally out of it. And I was like, do you want to reschedule, or is there something going on? He was like, when do I get to talk to the person who actually does the numbers?
I know that was like, what?
I was like, that would be me, and I don't want your business.
That's when you
it really
that's when you put the straight game face on.
Yes, yeah, because what it comes down to is that, so I have 3 niche areas, right? Oil and gas being the biggest. Next one is business owners, and then aspects of real estate, whether it's investors or somebody wanting to just grow their portfolio in general. So when you have a tall female that knows finance in oil and gas that can talk to people, it's, people start to either, one, they question, what are you doing? Which I'm like, okay, yeah, let me tell you what I'm doing, right? The other one is that you're a woman and you're in finance and you're oil and gas, what are you doing here? So I do get both sides of it, and that's okay. Totally fine with that, because the people who understand what I do will do way better off than the ones who don't understand what I do.
And that's like one thing I always, especially on my social platforms, I always look for a person that values your services, products, and much like that, more than a person, I guess, who's like more price sensitive, because you're not going to establish that relationship, and they're going to be like, okay, where's the person I actually need to talk to?
Yeah. Yep. So, and we do a lot of networking events within our firm, and we had there was the OTC, the oil and gas conference offshore last week. And it was really good. Women are becoming more in tune with oil and gas. People are seeing women
breaking
more.
The boundaries.
We really are. And when I went to the networking event, there were a lot of women there, and it was amazing to see. And I connected right away with some of them, because they're like, "Hey, oil and gas, you're women. We're
I know you're in the back of the crowd like this. Yes.
I love it. I really do love it. And just in this office. So our office, we have a lot of men in this office, but there's myself and then 2 other women advisors in the office as well. So not only are we growing in the office as, growing, a couple women every once in a while, it's exciting, but we're also being able to recruit a lot more, because women are going into the different fields, whether, we're not just teachers anymore. We're going to corporate America and becoming CEOs of companies, and it's just very, very, I love it. I love
flexing
it.
over there?
Yes, I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
So, I guess, what are the top 3 things that a person gets in value of speaking to you?
Sure. So the first one is going to be education, because as a financial industry as a whole, it's broken. I feel like
wow,
because when you think about it, you have two different types of information.
Okay.
You have information for the masses and then information for the select.
Gotcha.
The information for the select, that is the information that you create generational wealth off of.
Mm-hmm.
The information for the masses, it's more basic and put all your money in a 401k, whatever. So we are just re-educating on misinformation, whether it was just not received or if it was misinterpreted, or maybe they went to a seminar one time and somebody told them to open a SEP IRA, or maybe their CPA told them to open a SEP IRA.
Not knowing that person incentive was probably going to sell. So I mean, that's just honest.
Yeah. So that's something that we come across. So that's kind of a bummer. But so the next one. Really, we do a lot of estate planning. So it starts off, when you think about it, the basics, having, just something to protect your family. Then we do retirement planning, and then we have legacy planning. Mm-hmm. This goes into creating an estate for your family. A lot of people don't know this, but when they have a will done or a trust or whatever it might be, if something happens to, say, the dad in a family or the grandfather, all of the assets have a tax attached to them. So when somebody passes away, not only does everything go through probate, right, if you don't have any just basic life insurance attached to it, but it creates a huge burden on the family, especially those that are high net worth. So what we do is we start off with the basics. We have a mental checklist that we go through, and if somebody does have a will done, we're kind of on top of them. So a value there would be like, hey, you need to get this done. I don't do it, right? I could tell you less about the law than
but you'd be like, I highly recommend you get this done.
Because so many people don't have it. So we just bring things to light that maybe they haven't thought about, or, oh, it's on my list to get done. Like, great, yesterday? Like,
right now.
It's like, so we refer out to a lot of people. So I guess a value on that side would be, we have a team that we work with, right? Whether it is an estate planner, a tax attorney, a CPA, myself, real estate people. So we really bring a team of people, not just with myself, but a team that work around.
A team. Like, what is like the third one?
The third one is that we do a check-in, right? So a lot of, when you hear financial advisors, a lot of times there's a bad connotation. I had this advisor put me in this account and I never heard from again. Right? No good can come from that. So we do a lot of check-ins. Some people like to have a monthly report or a yearly report or quarterly, so it really caters to you, because some people are like, just send me something.
I think relationship is the key thing, mm-hmm. like staying in contact, and because it shows you put in the extra effort.
Yes.
And that a lot of times you can.
Yeah, and a lot of us, one thing that our firm does, we only add so many people a year to our book of business.
Because there's so much you can just handle.
It really is, because when you have somebody's family, maybe it's a grandparent, maybe it's a oil and gas company and they're high up, great. So grandparents here, then you have their children, which are then parents to other, they have kids underneath them. So things may change. Maybe they want to leave money to their kids specifically for college, or maybe they get an inheritance now because the grandparents passed away and now we're looking at the mom and dad of the kids. So there's a lot of checking in that goes into it. It's way more personalized than here's your blue mutual fund or red mutual fund or whatever.
Hey, what's up with the colors?
Yeah, like Vanguard, Fidelity, whatever. It's, you can, and another one that people go into is your target year funds. Those aren't the greatest either, because it's like, because you have assets under management, right? So assets under management means that for every dollar of yours that a financial advisor holds under them, they get a percentage of that dollar, whether or not you make money or not. So you could lose money in the market, and they still get paid, right? So that's something that you have to look out for. So if you have a husband and wife, high net worth, that have all this money, assets under management, that's great. What happens is you just get put into a fund, and it just sits there, and then the computer does it. So the computer's doing all the work, and the advisor's just taking all the money.
Ouch.
Yes.
Feel fair.
Yeah, it's not really the greatest, right? So we heed against that. Our fees and that side of things. I mean, it's nearly nothing, because that's not the best always for the client to do that. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last question. This is going to be a big one. Is what is the best way for a person to establish wealth in your own business?
Sure.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things. We cater to everybody. We aren't just going to focus on only the people who have $100,000 minimum to put in, because if I can help one family, then I'm doing something right. It doesn't matter what their net worth or their job or whatever it might be. So, if somebody has $20 put away a month, we'll do $20.
Okay, start.
It really is, and I'm sure you've heard it that sooner you start, the better it is later in life. It really is, Some people are starting to save when they're 40, so you just have to structure it a little different. Maybe we need to not spend as much, but some people like their lifestyle, right? So if you like your lifestyle, you think that taxes might go up in the future, and you like your income, or you might be having income potential later. Those are three major things that you have to take into consideration, because arguably you could say that you're in the lowest tax bracket of your life right now.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to go to the next segment, so stay tuned for that. Last little segment. On this little part, we're going to be more on the inspirational side of it. So, what are, I'll put you on the spot, top 3 quotes? Go.
Top 3 quote. Oh gosh. Okay. So my little introduction is local finance lady Ashley. That's my one. Number 2. Let's see. Believe in yourself, and you'll be able to conquer it all.
Okay.
That's my next little one. So I'm big in believe in yourself. And then I guess my third one is kind of a longer, I guess. So anything that you do should be to be benefiting yourself.
Okay.
So.
Top of 10.
Yeah. There we go. Here's my third.
So, with that, is there a favorite book that you read in the past that kind of it's like a reflection of your own life?
There's a couple books that I've read. Somebody actually sent me on LinkedIn a picture, and it was a diagram, I guess you would call it, and it was just a really big.
What is this?
It was like a sheet or like a picture that he had made, and he had posted all of the books that he had read in there, and it was just really, really interesting. Let me see. Let's see, because I tried to go off my audiobook list, and I have a bunch of them just listed.
Who's that if you need me?
Yeah. Okay. Let me give you one that I really like. Let's see. Have you used Audible before?
Yes.
Oh, I love Audible. I have all my stuff is on there. So there's a few that were suggested. Okay. One is The Art of Not Giving an F. I like that one. That one, it was really, really good. I really like that one. The Power of Habit is really good. I enjoyed that one. Blue Ocean Strategy, but my all-time favorite, The Power of Zero. Okay. That's a financial book. It's relatively short, but
it's the point.
It really is. So if I had to do, and that one is by David McKnight. That would probably be my favorite one, as well as The Power of Habit. And it's just creating a habit within yourself, whatever that is. People change, but generally their habits stay exactly the same. And it really retrains your brain to make sure that it's a positive habit, not a negative one. You can have.
And I guess that comes the habit, Audible. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and I can't leave this book out. So what actually, I guess, did you pull from The Art of Giving Up?
It really is the subtle act of not giving F. So it's mainly about spending time on the things that matter. That's really what it comes down to. I think there's another little sequel to it as well. I haven't gotten to read that one, but it really comes down to people get so involved with so many things, and in the grand scheme of things, kind of my quote I said earlier, if it's not bettering yourself, why does it matter? Why does it matter? If somebody cuts you off, right? We live in
Houston.
Right through Houston, right? And
all the time.
Just about 3 or 4 o'clock, you'll see
this. Cut off right then.
A parking lot, and people are cutting people off, and you get road rage, and you know what? Does it really matter? Does it really? And it
does it really matter for that just one little block of?
Yeah, it really does.
And you're still the same.
Right. And when you think about it, translate traffic to life, right? Interesting, right?
Yes.
So if somebody doesn't call you back or somebody makes a bad comment, does that person really matter? not really, because if they're not influencing you in a positive way, do you really want them in your life and to give them that attention anyways?
You're wasting your energy.
You're wasting your energy. So that book is really about refocusing your mindset about what you should be focusing on, what matters really in life. So it's
I feel like that's a really big now, especially with social media. You have so many platforms and you mind your own business. Timeline, what the heck? And so it's like, that's very big now.
Yeah.
Especially like the focus on the things that you need to be doing instead of wasting on other things.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Totally agree.
So with that, how important do you feel that is to keep your body, I guess, just healthy overall as you, transition? Like how you feel about that?
Sure. So I am a health freak, undercover. I was an athlete previous to my current corporate life. I guess you could call it that. So it is important to me. I do half Ironmans at one time, but my kids are very active as well. So I think it is important. Driving an hour and a half one way every day. So 3 hours of driving a day gets to be a bit much. So it is very important. Daily runs with the kids in the stroller. It's kind of my thing when I get home from work.
Got to have that energy.
Yeah. Because otherwise you just get to this like incredibly mundane. You're like, this drive. And
here we go again.
Yeah, and for me, if I'm not listening to something on Audible, I drive in silence, which is probably pretty crazy to some people. But that is literally my thinking time.
Self-reflection and then much more.
It really is. Because as a swimmer, I was so used to having an hour and a half of silence every morning and afternoon. Routine. It's my habit, right? It's my routine. And I have changed, but that habit has followed me, right? So I lived in Montgomery and then I drove to Sam Houston. Same thing, an hour and a half or an hour roughly of silence back and forth. And I think your mental well-being is just as important as your physical well-being as well. So
very important.
That's a little deep there.
But it's actually very beneficial because, especially with the mind and then the body, when you combine that. So like if this is not here, you're going to pretty much be out of there.
Yeah.
With that, how important it is to stay surrounded by very positive and I guess influential people?
Sure. So we kind of have a thing, and I'll relate this to our office. You should never be the smartest one in the room, right?
That's a twist.
You should never be, because if you are, then you're not surrounding yourself with the correct people. We're all about educating. We're all about growing each other as not only a team but individually. There might be someone in the office, and I made a video about this not too long ago. Someone in the office that's struggling. You see that, and you pick them up. Like it's not they'll get it. No, you help them. You go and help them. You help them figure it out, and then once they're helped, then let them grow on their own. But you have to have a giving mentality, give, and then eventually it'll come back around to you. So if you have somebody that has that negative mindset or always playing the devil's advocate, like I get it, you need that person, but you don't want to be a downer all the time. And our personalities are very similar, very uplifting, very upward and onward, kind of, I guess you could say. So when you surround yourself with that environment and you're having a down day, you know that someone or something will happen on the positive side to bring you back up.
Exactly.
So that's nice.
That's very nice. And I'm glad you hit on all that because that impacts so many people's lives all the time. Mm-hmm. And some people are like wondering, like, why am I always down? I'm like, think about the people you're surrounded with. Like you have these great ideas that you want to get accomplished, or like the next big thing, and then someone's gonna be like, oh, like it's not possible. You don't have the funds for that. What are you doing? You're wasting your time. That just slowly drains your energy. You're like, what the heck?
Yes.
So you just need to get out of over there.
Time. You have to spend your time on the things again that are important. Mm-hmm. It's not important. It's not benefiting yourself. Why are you doing it?
So with that, like, I guess top 3 people in business that you kind of like, I guess, look up to.
Sure. So there's
like list.
Yeah. There's a lot. David McKnight is one. He still does speaking all over for his strategies in business as far as the financial world is concerned. So he would be one. There is another group, Tom and Matt Love. They are part of the Breakaway League. I'm not part of it, but I've connected with them on LinkedIn, social media, and actually Ryan Moorhead, one of our other senior partners, he's part of it as well. So they're, on the financial side, they are very abstract in their thinking as well. So I connect with people who are very abstract. And another one I really like, even though he hasn't, calling him out because he hasn't responded to me, Keenan, on LinkedIn. He would probably be another guy. Very make it happen for yourself is basically what it comes down to. He does sales strategies and everything else. There's a couple more on YouTube that I follow, but I think those would be my 3.
All great picks. And then especially with the last one, I think that is very important because so many times people get in this point where they're just stuck, and it's like, okay, figure it out, make it happen, and you're like, what? Make it like it's almost like if you want it bad enough, you'll find out a way to make things go on. It's like if you see this thing in the store, it's like, oh, it's gonna cost $1,500. I'm putting it up like $1,500, and you're like, I want that though. Yeah. You're gonna find a way.
There's a YouTube video I saw a long time ago, and there was actually an athlete who did this speech in the background to it. I don't know if you've heard it, but it comes down to, if you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, you'll be successful. Love it, because you have to want it. Nothing, you can't be complacent like we spoke about and things just happen. You have to go get it. You have to want it. It's part of that, I guess, the athletic background in me. You have to have that internal drive. Yeah, that's really what it comes down to. So when I see people and they're like, I hit my sales quota for this month, I'm gonna sit back. I'm like, why? You still have 2 weeks left? Yeah, I'm gonna get you.
Like, good, you're cruising. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
And then with a lot of the big icons or legends, as I say, no matter what kind of industry you are, even if they're at the top of their game, they're like, I can do better. Like, what? So most people are like, are you serious? Like, you just won the championship.
It's funny you say that. So I come across business owners, especially oil and gas. A lot of the times I ask them, do you want to retire? When are you going to retire? And they're like, Ash, I'm not going to retire ever. I love my job. This is what I do. This is my passion. I'm like, okay, never retiring. Got it. So when you die, right? When are we killing you off then? Because I need some numbers to play with. I need some things to play with here. And it really is that just entrepreneur drive inside. Some people have it and some people don't. And there's nothing wrong with that. You find your place in this world as you grow, and you just figure it out on the way. But some people, you can just tell, like, you see them, the way they walk, the way they stand. They may walk awkwardly, but you know that their mindset is where it should be. So
it's all about. All right, so how can they contact you? Tell the audience.
So LinkedIn is the biggest way you can contact me. My phone number, email. I have a calendar. You can schedule something in person if you're in the Houston or in the Woodlands area. You can also schedule a phone conference with me. All education's always free. How it should be. I'm not going to charge you to teach you something that you should have been taught previously. But yeah, I would love to meet with any of you. Let me know. We'll schedule something.
Awesome. So with that, I've been inspired. Got plenty of information. Like, it was like almost like a water hose.
Sorry.
But that's a good thing because it allows you, like, oh, I need to really think on a lot of things.
Yeah.
And you need to be pushed outside your comfort zone. So we're gonna wrap this up. Chris Holmes is your host, and you have a guest,
Ashley, the local finance lady,
and take it to the next level.